a Kaisa and the jungler.
See, I was wondering if Kaisa or Tristana, one of the two, you know, both of them being open, both of them being really strong.
True,
and
yeah.
I feel like with the jungle too, having the pick of the litter is just making this so much easier for JDG.
The Gragas definitely a high priority pick here for RNG, and it's something that we haven't really been seeing first picked anywhere near as often recently. But instead of going for the AD carry, JDG decide that they want to lock in this support structure first, right? Kanavi gets the Hecarim. We get LvMao on this Alistar. Looked amazing in game number 1 of this series. You have your engage tools locked in now. You have your way to get these fights going. The question is, what carries do you want to set up in these fights?
We're getting some typical picks outside of everything else. We're getting Udyr, Kaisa, Gragas. I'm even wondering if it's not even going to be for Xiaohu. It's going to be for Ming bot lane, just because that is something that they have gone back to. Even outside of, like, as you mentioned, where Gragas has kind of fallen off, it's still got all that adaptability of where it can go for RNG. That's got JDG probably questioning a bit of what they want to be able to draft for themselves.
Yeah, so JDG so far, a lot of dive, right? A lot of all-in potential coming out from the squad. RNG on the other side, fairly similar, right? With the Udyr and the Kaisa, you can definitely just kind of run at them. But up in the top side, this Gragas, a lot of disengage, a lot of frontline there. As 2 more bans go towards Cryin here. And it's RNG trying to ban away top laners that maybe will do well into that Gragas. So something like Renekton still available as well, but the Gragas has typically done pretty well into the Renekton.
Well, the picks I'm really looking at are stuff that Zoom likes to play too. So not only is that Renekton left open, being one of his most played this split, but that Aatrox too that was banned previously. So I'm wondering what JDG are going to draft for themselves. Probably the Renekton since it's open, right?
I feel like getting a priority mid laner is really good here. I'm a little surprised to see the Viktor, not gonna lie. I would have expected maybe the Azir there, because Viktor's not really a pick that you think of Yagao with. It's not something he's played a ton of this split. Azir was open. It's his tied most played mid laner. But does go for the Viktor instead. So still a lot of scaling, a lot of just push in the mid lane, a lot of wave clear. Kind of ticks a lot of the same boxes as the Azir, but huge amount of burst damage as well. So a lot of follow-up in these team fights. But now hard engage support again for RNG. And they have to go for a mid laner themselves. You'd expect maybe it's their turn to go for the Azir, but something... Oh, here we go. This is the spice we were looking for. Renekton. I think that's a Renekton mid here.
I think it is too. Cryin's played Renekton mid 4 times this split and has won every game with that. This is a pick they're very comfortable sending into Cryan's hands and being able to play aggressively into a Viktor.
In hindsight, I think the Viktor is a takeaway from Cryin, right? I think that they're trying to remove the comfort pick from Cryin. Cryin has not played as much Azir, and when he has, it's not been as successful. I think that this Viktor is more of a removal from what Cryin likes to do. The Renekton in the mid lane, though, bit more of a bruiser, bit more focused around the early stages of the game. It feels like RNG should be able to have a bit more pace to their gameplay because they are now running a one-threat composition. I feel like we swapped sides as Cho'Gath as well for Zoom to finish this one out. This one's going to get interesting, and, you know, I feel like this game is going to test the limits of my knowledge as a color caster here.
I mean, you know what? We might as well just bust out the galaxy brains, right? Just try to throw whatever we can into the mix and guess at many things. But I'm excited for this. I like seeing Cho'Gath. I'm someone, even if it's like just a big meatball and tank, it's fun to see.
Yeah, Cho'Gath, like, it's an exceptional weak side top lane. I think people don't often see it, right? Because it's not that popular of a pick, but in a lot of matchups, very, very good at just clearing the wave away. Very good at just, like, you know, similarly to the Scion, you scale exceptionally well into those tanky items and just getting a ton of health. Gragas won't really be able to punish the pick too hard because you have so much sustain in the laning phase. So feels really good on the top side for Zoom with this Cho'Gath pick.
As we get ready, let's jump into game 2. Loaded up onto the Rift. Getting ready for the second game. JDG up 1-0 over RNG.
1-0 for JDG. And, you know, we came into this series, Matt, and we were saying, look, this is the smartest team in the LPL in RNG up against 2020's smartest team in the LPL. And the expectation, I'm not going to lie, was that RNG should come in as a heavy favorite in game one. JDG bring it to RNG. They show that they are not a team to just be sniffed at. They didn't have any roster changes aside from just extra players added coming into this year. The big change was that they hired Xiaohu, who was Suning's head coach going into 2020, the coach that took Suning to Worlds Finals. Can he do some work with JDG now? Late and fade here from RNG as they want to take this blue buff.
Gonna take the blue, but there might be a bit of a fight. JDG have been able to split Cryin away from the rest of the team, and LvMao might try to see if he can get the double knockup into RNG. There's a complete split fight around blue buff with Cryin now having Yagao with Ming nearby. They're trying to chase, but they're gonna get the flash in, flash away from Wei, barely surviving with the help of the Ignite, but Ming goes back in on a Kanavi, gets the health back from Smite, but they're chasing him down. Gala wants it, first blood going over to RNG.
Gala with the first blood here, beautifully played by RNG. You can see Yagao trying to flank, but RNG just collapsed on Yagao. Suddenly he's outnumbered. He has to just back away completely, uses his flash, and then they can just turn the fight onto its head. Huge play to start things off from RNG. We said they have an earlier, much more aggressive composition, and right from the word go at level 1, they start pushing forwards. Now in the bot lane too.
And look at this, with this advantage they've been able to get for themselves. LvMao and Loken having a similar bout as they did in game 1, where they're struggling at level 1 to be able to maintain presence in lane, and that's pretty much going to be the nature of the beast for Loken and LvMao. They're not really going to be able to do too much against Gala and Ming.
And that's the thing, right? Especially with Flashdown, Alistar does not exist at level 1. There's no world where you can get a good pulverize in this lane until you're level 2. So, good respect coming out from JDG. They know that there's absolutely nothing they can do there. Also, Zoom using the new Cho'Gath skin. This is the first time I get to see it outside of TFT, so I'm just a little bit excited for that as well.
See, I'm still a purveyor of the gentleman Cho'Gath. I love the sound effect. The num num num. Up you go. Silence. Even though this is a nice skin. And now we're going to get a nice dive from Wei, Cryin on the other side. Man, they are not relenting on this pressure. Double knockup comes in from LvMao. They might trade this back. Yagao shows up just in time to punish RNG. Wei barely alive to be able to escape, holding on to those double buffs he's got for himself, but the dive goes awry.
Beautifully done by JDG, and importantly, JDG won that at a man disadvantage because it's RNG diving onto the tower. JDG getting a pick. Now Kanavi gets to sweep up this entire jungle. He got the top scuttle. Zoom is chilling in this top side. We said he's got a favorable matchup, and he's using and abusing that fact right now in the top side. This feels really good for JDG to answer the early aggression, and RNG have thrown away the advantage that they started the game with.
Yeah, when you look at this, they thought they had it because LvMao and Loken were still level 1, but the TP just was able to get there just in time.
And the thing is, like, both mid laners essentially arrived at the same time, right? Cryin had roamed down. That's why they were going to go for this dive play, because they had a 4v2. But Cryin was actually slightly late on arriving comparatively to Yagao, who just TP'd in. So we ended up seeing that Yagao was actually on the scene first. He's the one that ends up getting the kill onto Ming as well, which means he's now going to be able to speed up the process on getting big on the Viktor.
He's fine, it seems. Well, that is one of the nice things, that it's been a while since we've seen Viktor versus a top laner, since Renekton, you know, even if Cryan's playing him, is normally a top laner. Remember back in the day, there was that time where Viktor was dominant in top lane because it was really difficult to do much to him. The shield he gets from the Frisbee, as well as having gravity field that he could put on top of himself, so that Renekton can't actually do much if he wants to slice and dice on top of him.
Yeah, it can be very difficult to get on top of that Viktor if you kite it well. But if Viktor steps out of position, let's just remember, he's real squishy. He's very easy to just brutalize, especially on the Renekton. But look at Zoom right now on this top lane matchup. Huge CS lead for himself. Just finishing off a plate as well with the Demolish there. The thing about Cho'Gath is because of his passive, he has so much sustain in that lane. You can just perma-shove. You have shove in so many different matchups. Both junglers are bot side, though. We could have a 3v3 here.
Oh, no, it's got to be a 4v3. Cryin already on his way. There's not a TP this time. Now that they've been able to spot out way, Cryin, I wish he had waited to poke his face out a bit more. Though it's still the attempted 4v3 with Kanavi nearby. He's galloping towards, and it's going to be the jump out from Loken, but jumped on top by Cryin. A lot of damage was tanked up by Ming, so finally dies to the help of the turret. As they slice with the call of the Meek on Kanavi. Still alive, enough minions here pouring in. JDG are trying their damnedest to keep fighting back the 2v3, but they're pushed away from their own turret.
But they weren't tanking.
Away from LvMao, and finally they're able to get the second kill for RNG.
Oh, that was so beautiful from RNG on the redive. They just walk in and press S. Nobody auto attacks, and so LvMao uses all his CC to try and protect Kanavi, but they're like, hey, we're not even taking the tower yet, buddy. No worries whatsoever from the side of RNG. That was so smartly played. Really great to see.
This is why at the beginning of everything we talked about how smart RNG are with these plays. It's not that methodical waiting it out, just slow pace. They're smart in how they go for these dives. Sure, they lost Ming at the very beginning, but the redive was beautifully executed.
I'm not sure how that Q didn't hit the Grump. It doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of the game, but I don't know how that Q didn't hit that Grump. Yeah, so really, really nicely played by RNG, speeding up the pace of the game towards that bottom side. They are consistently going for this dive over and over again. And importantly, they should be looking towards trying to get Drakes as well. They have potential push in the bottom side with this Leona and the Kaisa, but off of the level 1 plays, off of the lead that they have on the bottom side, they have guaranteed push now. They also have the Renekton in the mid lane, right? We talked about how this Renekton is picked up so that you can just push out that mid lane and get elsewhere on the map. So huge push in both sides of the map. Does mean that Wei should have the advantage going towards the Drake. On the top side, though, for that Herald, because Zoom is so strong on this Cho'Gath, because he's winning that 1v1 so heavily, should feel like JDG can at least contest on that side of the map, but with Wei going this deep in the jungle, maybe not.
Oh, Blast Cone over the wall. He should have been able to see Xiaohu. Now he's poking his face out so they can guarantee they steal this red buff, but it is going to be the top side. No, they're actually not even bringing down Zoom. They're conceding the red buff.
Yeah, I think correct decision there, understanding that Zoom is not going to be able to significantly impact this play. So RNG, off the back of that play, will be able to go for the Herald as well. That's the thing. I mentioned the push that Zoom has for himself, but he is still a Cho'Gath early on in the game. He's not that tanky just yet. It's not like he's going to massively turn a play around at this point, just off of 20 CS. So understandably, JDG decided to back away from that one. They need to try and play this slow a little bit. They're the one with a 2-threat composition this time. They got the Viktor, they got plenty of scaling. They don't need to rush. On the side of RNG, they're the one with a 1-threat composition. They're the one that needs to be accelerating this game. So JDG, they start the Drake, they back away because they realize this ain't happening anytime soon. But all they need to do is delay RNG from getting Drakes.
Well, and that is unfortunately not going to be the case. It seems that it should be taken pretty quickly. Oh, no, they're not actually going for it. Even though they have a push mid, there it is. I was waiting for them to go for that dragon because they have a winning bot lane, they have a winning mid. It's pretty easy to grab this dragon.
If you really wanted as well, you could just run straight towards bot lane for Wei and just slam the Herald down. The reset has just come in from Loken and LvMao, but they will be coming back to lane. So I think he'll probably go for the reset first. Use that empowered recall because he is low on HP. If a fight does kick off, then he'd be in big trouble. So I prefer this in hindsight. Just go for the reset and look to put it somewhere. So here's the thing, right? I would love to see them use the Herald in the bot lane. I have a feeling that Xiaohu gets this Herald. Even though he's on the Gragas, even though he's the one lane that can't really push at all, I have a feeling that they're just going to try and brute force the Herald on the top side anyway.
Does seem that that's the path incoming from Wei, as he's already heading towards the top side to get Gromp, get a little bit more. And, the thing is, I'm kind of with you. I wish that they would pop the spot lane, since Zoom is going to, even if you're able to force him out of this lane and you pop down Rift Herald, he's going to come back. Gonna be able to keep pushing back Xiaohu. Give more gold to Gala and Ming. Let them be able to be this mid-game powerhouse for you so you can keep relying on them. You saw last game how Gala was able to do it in those mid-game fights when given a lot of gold.
Yeah, the question is how do they set it up, right? Because they're not going to be able to use this Herald for Dragon priority. Dragon's not up for another 4 minutes, so that's out of the question. It's just about getting some gold onto one of your carries, right? You do have push in the bottom side already. We've seen that this is a team that wants to dive the bottom lane. That has been the bread and butter play for RNG this entire game so far is dive bot, dive bot, dive bot. So you can see Wei just clearing his Krugs now. You could set that up. Just get Cryin to shove in that mid wave, start to move down himself, get way over there, go for the dive again, slam the Herald, finish the tower.
Intelligent plays from RNG still. Or even if it's a telegraphed play, they've got Kanavi pretty much controlled. You can see Cryin playing really aggressively onto this Hecarim because they can. They know that they have backup. There's not really going to be a great fight for JDG. Not when you have this Hecarim that's pretty, not super far behind, but not in a great position to be able to compete with Udyr, with Wei, who's always going to be able to out-rotate you.
So Wei moving into the mid lane here. I'm not sure if he's going to drop the Herald. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't sure if he was going to try and get priority so they could rotate or if he was just going to drop the Herald himself. But they can move Gala over, so he's going to get a bunch of gold for these plates anyway, if he's close enough anyway. He will be able to do that. So I think deciding that trying to force the dive, especially with double TPs available for JDG with Zoom and Yagao, would have been able to respond if they try and force the dive bot. So deciding that just slam the Herald, get a bit of gold, give it over to Gala. That's going to be fine for that.
And again, that gets Gala into a position for these mid-game fights, these skirmishes they're going to look for to be much more of a threat. And for RNG's sake, I feel like that would be a good thing to take, is that tier 1. It gives them opportunities to now push further in that mid-game when they want to.
I will say that RNG do need to pick up the pace a bit. Like, when we're looking towards the Drakes, that first Drake of the game was very late for them. And it does mean that, you know, going for some kind of soul, because it's going to be Infernal or Ocean Soul. Really, really big win condition right there for JDG, for RNG, sorry. Being able to stack those Drakes is going to be incredibly important. The longer they take to do that, the more online Yagao will become. Yagao is really the ticking time bomb on the side of JDG in this game, because Loken, beyond 2 items, he's going to be useful, right? But Yagao, when you get to sort of 3 items on that Viktor, you can really start to blow people up in the fights. And whether or not they can misposition Yagao will be one of the big questions. Like, using Xiaohu's casks well, Ming with the solar flare, can they get onto that Viktor in the late game team fights? Do they ever opt into the 5v5 late game team fights? These are the kind of questions that we need to be asking.
Well, I just wonder if they try to get the 5v5 team fights if maybe they weren't able to accelerate the pace quick enough in the first place.
Xiaohu, all he's trying to do here, he's okay to take damage so long as he can stop this wave coming under, because that plate is on 10 HP right there.
Zoom should have just walked up and took it. He should have just, he's taking up, just get it.
But if he tanks the tower, I'm pretty sure Xiaohu just kills him, just keeps him under the tower, knocks him back with the ulti. Very nicely played by Xiaohu. Just denies 160 gold from Zoom. That was really nice to see that little bit of micro between them. They know that neither of them can all in unless that dive actually goes through.
So Wei is on a ward right now. There's a TP in from Yagao. Get a bit of damage. He thinks that he can trade back that they have Ming on the other side. So RNG continuing to hold on to control of this bottom quadrant of the map, so that way they can get this dragon that's going to spawn up soon.
Yeah, and there should be no contest here from JDG. Like, the push is going in favor of RNG in mid and in bot. Wei's actually looking for a blue buff on top of the dragon, if he can get it. You see the Gore Drinker come through from Cryin instead of the ankle breaker, so he's looking to just get in the middle of the fight and have that sustain, because it's not like they're lacking frontline right now. So the Drake taken by RNG here. Zoom will be able to just shove yet another minion wave underneath the tower. He's building himself quite a CS lead to work with. Might actually be able to finish this tower because he does have the demolish. So he's getting pretty big. And I think he will be able to finish this one.
No.
Oh, no. Nice ult from Xiaohu.
denying that, saying, all right, we can't have this Cho'Gath be too tanky in these mid-game fights because then it would be able to pick us apart. I like this answer from JDG trying to get themselves a Rift Herald so they can crack some of the turrets, but RNG, they were in a position, you could see Cryin was looking for that flank to be able to get into the back line, but they didn't pull the trigger.
So this feels good for RNG, honestly, because we've seen multiple styles from RNG across the course of this split. And I feel like I've been talking a lot today about playing through top, trying to snowball, play as fast as you can, like outpace people on the map and out-trade people on the map. And that is one style that has been very successful for RNG. But they have run your more standard compositions, especially when they were playing things like Nah and this Gragas as well in the top side. They've been able to run these more front-to-back style comps. And while obviously this is not exactly your standard front-to-back with this Renekton, as he finally finishes that tower off, won't be able to get the knockup. This does feel like a solid start to the game and a very controlled start to the game from RNG. I'm just a little worried that it's too slow. I'm just a little worried that they need to start to pick up pace here because JDG have shown that they're perfectly capable of taking games here against RNG. Herald goes down in the mid lane.
And Wei is trying to be able to get as much damage onto this to deny that charge, but it still will go through, only getting down right below 50%. But I want to... Oh, wait, hold on. Might not be able to get a chance to circle back to your point, because looks like RNG might have gotten the flash out of Zoom. All right, so it will be JDG getting out of there, but I kind of want to circle back to what you're talking about, that RNG, they are taking a while to be able to do a lot, but they do also have 2 dragons currently to none of JDG.
Yeah, and obviously that's to do with the fact that they've had this priority in the bottom side and in the mid lane as well, so they're able to snowball those drakes for themselves. I want to look at the AD carries though, because we have a pretty significant difference in the AD carries. Obviously, let's just bear in mind that Gala got first blood before the game ever began, so he's had an advantage for this entire laning phase. This is not just AD carry diff in a vacuum, but the key thing that I want to point out is that this difference between the AD carries has been extenuated by the fact that there's been these consistent dives in the bottom lane. Now there's a 30 CS lead in favor of Gala. He's already got a Kraken Slayer. He's going for a Last Whisper second item as well, so that he's able to shred Zoom and Kanavi and LvMao when they're trying to be this big brick wall on the front line.
Not going to have to deal with that with an early Dominic, so guard for sure will be nice for the side of RNG, while JDG still working on scaling themselves up. You've got your eyes on the ADCs. You got me all hooked on Yagao and waiting for this Viktor to be able to get 3 items.
Yeah, it's still a little while away though, unfortunately, before Yagao's really firing all cylinders. Ming caught out, forced to flash here.
Yeah, but they do get the Chaos Storm, and with 5 members of JDG here, there could be a flank from Cryin that can split them apart. This is that mid-game fight that we've been wanting to see, but JDG are quick on these reads. They're playing this one so intelligently to be able to read what RNG want to do and always disengage at the right moment.
Yeah, really good stuff from JDG to be disciplined in these moments as well. One of the big... Oh, hang on. We've got Wei maybe caught out.
It seems like Wei is just more tickling Kanavi, being like, all right, look at me. I'm over here on this flank. Pay attention to me. Dragon is about to spawn. Well, it's about 45 seconds until it spawns. And JDG still want to get some control of vision around the river like they've had on top side for quite some time, but they need to be able to deny soul point that RNG want to be able to set themselves up into. We've seen how that can affect the game. Last game was so pivotal for JDG to have that.
So just keep in your mind here. Zoom's playing Cho'Gath. We've talked about what he does in the top lane. When it comes to objectives, you can feast. It does more than Smite does. Like, forget the junglers. It's all about Zoom when it comes to this dragon. Ooh. Here we go, engage.
They look like they had Xiaohu, and into the backline they go. Kanavi, he's been locked down for so long. They're getting a lot of damage. Explosive Cat's not going to be able to connect. Yagao got the kill on the other side, but they now are split away. RNG trying to see if they can get Gala out of there, but it's going to be Cryin who dies to Loken. Could have the resets, but his blast cone. Loken jumping in on top of Ming. They got the knockup as well. Boom goes the dynamite. Double kill for Loken.
And you know, when the front line can't get in, when it's not this giant scrap that RNG want, when it is this front-to-back style, they just don't have the damage. Gala was not able to just fire away for the entire time, even though he's finished off a second item now. It doesn't matter, because this big, beefy front line of Zoom, of Kanavi, of LvMao, disrupting the fight, stopping the Renekton, stopping Xiaohu's Gragas as well, getting onto Loken. It meant this Viktor and Tristana could just have a whale of a time. When you look at where the carries are positioned, look at Yagao and Loken, right? Still right at the back of the fight. Ults across the entire team here. Health bar's already so low. The disengage ult is too late from Xiaohu and doesn't do enough. And look, Loken and Yagao still chilling. Gala is silenced. He can't do anything. He can't even get auto attacks out barely. There's just this huge brick wall of Zoom that Loken can hide behind the entire time and then zip forward to finish off the kills.
It's a simple composition. You get a few tanks on your side. You have Tristana and Viktor that are going to do so much damage. RNG, they played this composition last game. It didn't work out for them. They wanted to be able to dissuade any dives into their backline, but they couldn't do it. And this time, JDG, with that composition, to be able to have the front lines, well, sure, RNG had dive possibilities. This time around, they're struggling to be able to keep consistently diving into the backlines. You can even see here that Cryin just gets caught himself out. So much damage from Kanavi to be able to pick up the kill. Even with Gala trying to go into the backline, they've taken out Loken. That could be the time for RNG to be able to pick up a win, but with an explosive cast and not enough damage, they still have to be careful. Gala is trying to kite back, double kill on a Kanavi, flashes forward for a triple kill, but they got the knockup they need to for Zoom to take him down, denying the resets that he wanted to be able to get, denying the possible quadra or pentakill. They're chasing away the rest of the members of RNG, giving the thumbs up too, saying, "You are mine. I would just want to be able to get you, pick you apart, rip you with the spikes." And there it goes, JDG only leaving Xiaohu alive.
The Dumpling Brothers themselves, Zoom and Yagao, come out on top of the fight. 302 and 205 respectively. It's beautiful to see, chasing people out. And Yagao was safe the entire time. We saw Gala managed to finish off Loken right at the very start of the fight. It was an early engage coming out from JDG, but the rest of the team wasn't quite able to finish off. Obviously, they get the first kill. Then look at this CC chain onto Loken, right? He gets stunned up, then stunned up, and then in comes Gala from the top side. Xiaohu's there as well, so he can play defensively up towards the top. But Yagao now is free firing for the rest of the fight. The tanks go in, and he's just chilling. Gala cannot do much. Flashes forward for a kill, which perhaps was a little overzealous, maybe realizing that the fight was already lost, but wasn't able to do anything. And we're looking at feast stacks right now. He's on 8 stacks already. He's a big, chunky boy.
Got all the stacks on the minions. Was able to get one champ and trying to get some of the neutral camps as well. And Cryin here, he's leveled down to Zoom. There is feast available, even though you think that you're going to be able to get away with the help with dominance. They're just waiting it out. There's the heal. Look for the munch. Nom, nom, nom.
Delicious, delicious crocodile. Oh, wait, that's not a crocodile. That's, oh, it was a crocodile.
That was a crocodile.
I got confused because it wasn't Renekton top and it hurt my brain. It was Renekton mid. Zoom gets the kill in the end, easily done. And there's not much of an answer from RNG. Yes, they can move towards the top side, but realistically, I don't think they can threaten the Baron with just a single DPS. They're going to try, though. On they go towards the Baron. It feels like JDG should be able to contest this realistically.
Zoom does not have TP, though. That is going to be the big thing. RNG do opt to peel off. They're afraid. Xiaohu is not with the team. The fight could have started. Zoom has been walking his entire way to this. So yeah, they just peel off and get the turret instead.
So RNG try and brute force this Baron. It doesn't work out. Now they're TPing. They've cut JDG off. So JDG are trapped on RNG's half of the map.
I was about to say, is that really that creative a thing, though? Look at Zoom and how he's able to play so far forward. They're so afraid of this big Godzilla creature that they back out.
What do you do? Zoom is so scary. In they go.
Oh, no. Looks like Zoom wants more crocodile. Nom, nom, nom for a second time onto Cryin. He's 5-0-2 on this Cho'Gath. That brings him up to 10 stacks now on this Cho'Gath.
Zoom this game is both figuratively and literally a monster. He is absolutely ginormous. Onto the Baron they go. Smite available for Wei here.
Looks like RNG are trying to stop as best they can with the explosive cast. They got a lot of damage. Xiaohu was not able to pick up the kill that he needed to. Yagao is trying to kite back the best he can with Gala being able to get the kill, but look, they lost the top lane. Wade's caught up. That's the smite gone now. There shouldn't be the contest, but Gala's enough of a threat. He dives in with killer instinct. He might be able to get it. No, he couldn't. Loken silences him.
A split second away from finishing off Loken there. If he gets 2 kills, that could flip the entire game on his head. But this is just as Dragon spawns. So JDG now, 2 dragons on the trot, pushing that win condition further and further away from RNG. And they're even going to leave this so Zoom can get yet another stack and get even tankier. Zoom is large and in charge. Let's take another look. As RNG forced this fight, they had to, right? It's 4v5, but they have to try and stop this from happening. The bomb goes off, the cast goes in, but ultimately they just don't have the damage to finish anyone off. It means Loken can free fire, and then the hero play comes out from Gala. He realizes Yagao is so low on HP already, he can blast his W in, finish off Yagao immediately, and he's so damn close to finishing Loken too.
So close to being able to get Loken, but Loken surviving meant that they can immediately turn for the dragon. They have this advantage still against RNG. You can see with 3,000 gold over them, Loken has now been put in this position, the late game carry, to be able to get the damage they need to back up Yagao.
So we have this weird problem, right, where on paper it looks like RNG have a 1 damage comp, but they have an AP Gragas. So there is some magic damage coming in there. But Zoom is just so monumentally huge, he doesn't really need to build any actual element. There's no kill threat whatsoever from Xiaohu.
Kanavi, Onslaught of Shadows was used to try to escape. It looked like they had the pick, but unfortunately the Solar Flare was a little too far from Ming. And now JDG, they've shown up. They've got the TP from Yagao as well, and they've caught RNG in the bad spot. Caught away for their entire base. Blast going over the wall. Zoom is huge. What do you do to him?
Dinosaur.
He's a monster right now, and they can dive on a Gala. There goes the damage of RNG. JDG, they've got this fight in the bag. They've taken down Wei, Cryin next to fall. Ming gonna be into the ground too. JDG are back, baby.
Hell yeah, JDG back in the league right here. 18-8, taking down RNG. I don't think they can end the game just yet, but this is looking damn good for them. They've got the better late game composition, and they're winning in the mid game anyway. In goes Zoom. He is triple the size of any reasonable champion. Look at him.
Zoom
He's
out
an
so
absolute
far
monster.
to see him. They're gonna end this. They don't care that Xiaohu is here. They've got the thumbs up. They're saying it's okay. 2-0 for JDG. They take down RNG, and they are back.
Your spring 2020 champions are back and ready to play a 2-0 upset over RNG. This is a monumental win for JDG this year. They had such a rough start to the split. There have been so many question marks surrounding this team. What went wrong? Where did the synergy go? What happened? But with Coach Chashao stepping in, it's taken a little bit of time to mesh, and now it's starting to come to fruition. This is the team that we all fell in love with last year.
I love to see this play from JDG, utilizing Zoom to his fullest, being able to put him on tanks. Sure, you could say, oh, putting someone on tanks not that great. Then you see his Cho'Gath. Then you see his set. You see how they can play around that, and it was beautiful.
Zoom is a monster, man. If he doesn't get MVP, I don't know either. Yeah, I'll cry. But unbelievable performance across the series. His set looked clean in game number 1. His Cho'Gath in game number 2, and it feels like JDG have remembered how to play around Zoom as a top player, right? Because Zoom was one of their big significant win conditions back last year as well, and it's not like he was a massive carry player then either, right? The most carry champion he plays is the Gangplank, which is still like this weak side top laner. It's not like they usually are diving for Zoom regularly, but it does feel good to see JDG playing very intelligently, shot calling correctly, being decisive in these games. Because a lot of the games this split from JDG had felt lackluster. It had felt like they weren't really sure what they were doing on the Rift. This sentence only makes sense within a group of certain people, but it felt like the mojo was gone, you know? It felt like the pizzazz was gone. I don't quite know how to describe what that means, but on the eye test, it was like, this doesn't feel like a top team anymore, even without roster changes. That mojo is back.
It is. I mean, it makes sense to me. I understand exactly where you're coming from on that one. It did feel like they had lost that spark that they had once had. That's why we were saying at the very beginning, it seemed like RNG had taken the title of the smartest team in the LPL away from JDG. But this game felt like what we all fell in love with before in JDG. It felt like they had found out how they wanted to be able to play as a team once more. Maybe it was just 11-3 that they really weren't comfortable, or 11-2. The preseason messed with their brains a bit too much, and now they've figured out how to play League of Legends once more, and this was far, far better from them.
Beautiful stuff, and the Emperor of Spring, Xiaohu himself, has been overthrown by the champions of Spring in 2020 now. Phenomenal win here for JDG, and I think that the most important thing is just that this is a huge watershed moment for the league where we have a turning point for JDG. We now can look at JDG and say, hey, this is a team you have to worry about. RNG losing in this fashion, in a 2-0 fashion, in two very clean games from JDG as well, is an incredibly impressive performance. I want to reiterate that this is not RNG just suddenly being a terrible team. This is very much JDG stepping up, because if you told me 2 weeks ago that JDG would be able to take on RNG, I straight up wouldn't have believed you. This is a really, really impressive win from them.
It is, and honestly, had you told me earlier today that they would be able to get the 2-0, I would still be like, I don't know. RNG are a really strong team. They've been looking really hot lately, but JDG are back. It is, honestly, looking at how they're able to draft, and in both games, it wasn't the same style that they needed to play. Sure, you did put Zoom on something that could win and bully in the lane, but at the same time, it was the pick comp with the 1-3-1 compared to more of the front-to-back team fight in Game 2. Both styles looked really clean out of JDG.
Yeah, and I think that you've hit a really good point there, is that we've seen multiple styles in this series from JDG. I'm not going to lie. Look, we could talk about the compositions. We could talk about the teams. I just want to talk about Zoom's Cho'Gath.
Oh, yeah.
The man's a monster. That was so much fun to watch. Like, obviously, in the laning phase, he looked amazing, as you'd expect. He had the counter pick on the red side. Like, he is straight up a better top laner than Xiaohu. I think that's pretty unarguable. Like, Xiaohu just moved to top lane this split. That's not really an insult to Xiaohu. No. Zoom has been one of the best tops in the LPL for a while now. Like, this should be expected that Zoom wins lane against Xiaohu. But to dominate in this fashion, then transition those leads so well into the mid game, it's just honestly a pleasure to watch. And I feel like Xiaohu still has a bit of growing to do when it comes to playing these tank picks. Obviously, he played the AP Gragas in game number 2 and didn't really feel as impactful. But even in game number 1 on this Sion, still feels like he has a lot of work on how to team fight as tanks. He's so used to being the carry for the team as a mid laner. Still feels like there's a bit of a learning curve to go through that.
And the thing is with Xiaohu, I think you've also hit the nail on the head with this. It's just, when you put him on the carries, it seemed a lot better. I mean, you think about that Tristana game that he was able to play to bully around Flandre's Narb. It was great. But he needs a pick like that if he wants to be able to win, with the meta shifting a little bit away from the only being carries in top lane to now having a bit more of a mix. He just doesn't seem to have that same oomph, while someone like Zoom, who's been in the top lane for some time and can play a varied amount of champions and different styles all across the board, it's clear that Zoom is going to constantly be able to win this out because of his varied champion pool.